Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the McGonagall Boxing Podcast. Let's get straight down to it. So Teofimo Lopez finally gets defeated. George Kambosos, the pride of Australia, takes him out and in style. No question he won that fight. I had it closest. I had it 7-5 Kambosos. I think the big round, ironically, as Lopez was celebrating against Lomachenko, was the last round. Kambosos won that, and I think he won the 11th. The middle rounds were nip and tuck. Obviously, Lopez won the 10th. Kambosos won the first. But Kambosos put it on Lopez. And the weakness for me that Lopez has, and no one's really spotted this, and even against an unfit Lomachenko, was he gasses. He tires. His punch input decreases as the fight wears on. It happened with Loma. I think Loma took over that second half of the fight. Very, very, very nearly got a draw. And Kambosos took over the second half of the fight, barring a knockdown in round 10, which was a pizza punch. And, you know, I'm not taking anything away from Lopez. He's got punch power, and he can punch with both hands. So that's always like to happen. But he gassed. And then final two rounds, where let's be honest, the fight was up for grabs. Kambosos was the hungrier. He put his output, his pressure, he brought it to Lopez, who slowed down. So that's something he needs to look at if he wants to be the elite of the elite. You know, Lomachenko, when he's fit, doesn't slow down. And, you know, Garcia, Haney, they don't seem to slow down either. So, you know, that's something Lopez needs to look at big time. But also what worries me is he kind of just walking in straight lines, wasn't he? I mean, I think he overrated his right hand. Yes, he caught Kambosos flush, but I don't think he had enough respect for Kambosos, who was a warrior, who took them right hands flush and kept coming and countering and coming back. And Lopez is so new to having his way with people. He lands that right hand and that's it. You know, if you look at Richard Comey fight, for instance, one big hand and right hand, that was it. But Kambosos stood there and he fired back. And Lopez, his guard was all over the place. You know, his chin was up and he was up for the counter. And that's what happened in the first round. His chin's up, hands are low. You're going to get countered. And Kambosos, good hand speed, caught him flush. He needs to work on his defence. He needs to throw and get that guard up. Lopez was too nonchalant about his defence. And what happened to his amazing hand speed and foot speed that he, you know, shows on Instagram? He was flat-footed for me. Walked in straight lines, there to be hit. Yeah, he did land, there's no question about it. It was a great fight. But look at how he was marked up and beaten up by the end of that fight. You can't have that if you want a long career. He was flat-footed, and his chin was up, like I say, and his hands were low, and he was getting caught every time he was unleashing that right hand. So, and you know, his dad's advice, I don't get what he was saying in the corner. Why was he not saying, move your feet, son, keep your hands up. Every time you throw, get that guard up. Make sure when you throw, you're not within, you know, countering distance. You know, he's got long levers. He was the bigger man. He could have kept this at distance and set up traps. He had success when he was going to the body, but he seemed to stop that, didn't he? Out of round 3 and 4, I thought, right, okay, Lopez has figured this out. But then he started headhunting again. And, you know, Kambosos saw them punches coming, and he countered. I just didn't get the advice from Lopez's dad. You know, just saying to knock him out. And, you know, that's not the advice he needed. He needed to be told why he was losing his fight and how to improve. Meanwhile, Kambosos' dad was giving guided, you know, articulate instructions. This is what you need to do. He's trying to lead with that right hand. You need to counter with your left. So better corner work from Kambosos. A better fight from Kambosos. He deserved to win that fight. And Lopez, now you realise why he didn't want any part of Lomachenko. He didn't want that rematch because clearly he knew deep down that he had stamina issues. He knew fully fit Loma would have done what he did in the last 6 rounds at the start of the fight. It would be the beatdown eventually. And it all makes sense now. And I don't want to sound like I'm hating on Lopez, but, you know, he knows boxing. I know boxing, and I believe Lomachenko would have beaten him in that rematch. Kambosos has beaten him now. Can Lopez beat Kambosos? Absolutely. I'm not saying he can't. I still think Lopez is a better fighter. I think he showed flaws. I think he was overconfident, and he overlooked Kambosos. There's no question about it. Whether or not he said he didn't, he did. and he'll need to train fully hard and make improvements, adjustments, slick footwork, get that better defence, and he can knock Complacency out. There's no question about it. But did he deserve to lose that fight on Saturday night? Absolutely. And whether or not Complacency gives him a rematch is up to him. There's nothing in the rematch clause. And you know, Lopez's dad blaming DAZN for the decision is total nonsense. You know, yes, Top Rank seem to favour their fighters a little bit more, and I think it may. You're right. It might have been a case, had Top Rank been involved, that he got the decision. But the right man won that fight, and he needs to make serious improvements, Lopez, and his dad needs to be real with that. Otherwise, he's not going to get better. Otherwise, he won't get his belts back, and he won't be the elite of the division. As for Complacency, congratulations, pride of Australia. That and Jeff Horn, biggest wins in Australian boxing history? I think so. The world's his oyster. Everyone's calling him out now. Garcia, there's backs that wants a bit of him. Devin Haney, Tank, even Shakur Stevenson wants to move up. So he's in for a big fight. Whatever he does, I think he'll take the Lopez rematch, believing he can beat Lopez again. And if Lopez fights like that again, he will do. So credit Complacency. As for Lopez, he needs to look in the mirror, have some real hard truths, and come back better, bigger and stronger.